A very warm welcome to all our participants today and to everyone who might be listening to the later recording. My name is Paul Craddock and I'm a solutions engineer for Stratodesk based out of Manchester. Today, we're here to talk about Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops 2203 LTSR release. And today we're joined by Monica Grismere, who is the Product Marketing Associate for Citrix Desktop as a Service, Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops. Monica, do you want to say a few words to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, all. Monica Grismer. As Paul, you said, I'm in product marketing at Citrix. I'm really excited to be here with you both and just have a conversation on all things new in virtual apps and desktops and all things new with Stratodesk. So looking forward to it.
I'm also joined by my colleague, Mikael. Mikael, do you want to say a few words to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So Mikael Lindholm, been with Stratodesk for a couple of years now. Before that, I was actually a colleague of Monica, so it's great to do this recording with you as well, and this webinar. Looking forward to it.
So I think first of all, what I'd like to do is just to announce to our participants that Stratodesk have just just achieved a certification for Citrix Ready Endpoint. Citrix Ready Endpoint Premium and Citrix Ready Cloud against the latest version of Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops LTSR, which I think it goes without saying continues to validate our long collaborative partnership with Citrix. As some of you may be aware, over the years, we've continued to develop our partnership with Citrix, not just by including the latest version of the Citrix Workspace app into our operating system, but we've also worked with them in the past with the development of innovative products like the Citrix Ready Workspace Hub, which was a low-cost enterprise-ready thin client based on the Raspberry Pi, which technology grew even further with the release of the Raspberry Pi 4 in late 2019. So, Monica, Citrix have just released the newest version of the LTSR for Virtual Apps and Desktops 2203. And do you want to give us a little bit more information and some backdrop for this product?
Yeah, I would love to. So thanks so much, Paul. As you mentioned, there's great things happening in the world of Citrix, like the LTSR, which we're going to dive into. And there's also great things happening in the partnership between Stratodesk and Citrix. But I want to set the scene a bit as we kick off our conversation. So while you all have been innovating and rolling out new technologies and releases, so have we. So you introduced me as a product marketer for Citrix DaaS and Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops. So for anyone paying close attention, maybe you perked your ears up at that. I want to reiterate for anyone that may have missed it, we actually changed our naming scheme for our cloud product from Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop Service to Citrix DaaS just recently, and our packaging structure for the cloud as well. So it's really about the offloading of management and maintenance. But that brings up the point of our release vehicles, right? While we're here today. At Citrix, in the virtualization categories, we have 3 different release vehicles. So the first is our cloud releases or Citrix DaaS, and those are the automated, rolled up updates that happen on a regular basis. And then we have current releases. So we target those for our on-premises individuals, our customers, organizations on-prem. Those come out about quarterly. And so that's the way to get the latest features in your on-premises deployments on a regular basis, but it is more of a manual process. And then lastly, we've got the long-term service release or the LTSR. We've used that acronym quite a handful of times, even in this short call so far. So for those of you that aren't familiar, what's the LTSR? So that is a release of Citrix for on-prem that comes out about every 2 to 3 years. And it's a roll up of all of the features from the previous long-term service release. And people love it because of extended support and maintenance, but we just released one in March, and that's the 2203 release, so March of 22. So yeah, excited to chat a bit more about that today.
No, that's a bit of a great insight there. So what are the main reasons that customers are going with, say, the LTSR instead of the current release cycle?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, our long-term service release comes out every 2 to 3 years, and it's really intended for those customers and organizations and the toughest verticals, like the most highly locked down healthcare, government, finance, for instance, and you may have an internal QA or certification process that you need to deal with. So we have a bit of a common misconception that the LTSR is about stability. I'd say we pride ourselves on stability across our release vehicles, but it's really about predictability. I know those words sound similar, but it's more of being able to set the release in your environment and taking advantage and standardizing upon one version of the software to keep running in your data center for up to 10 years. So the initial support lifecycle is 5 years, and then you can purchase an additional 5 on top of that. Some of the disadvantages, you may miss out on some of those releases that come more frequently, or updates rather, with the current release. But I know the LTSR is definitely beloved with our customers, and obviously we're still innovating and rolling it out.
Okay. And, you know, here at Stratodesk, we use Citrix Cloud. So just kind of touching on what you've mentioned already, can the LTSR and Citrix Cloud coexist? You know, can a customer take advantage of Citrix Cloud and LTSR? And if so, when and why?
Yeah, no, that's a super common question, and I'm glad you posed it. And I know we've had conversations about you all leveraging the cloud, our customers as well. And hybrid is, you know, the word of the century. I'm sure you both can attest, like hybrid has more, more, what do I call it? More definitions than I think
Best
any
of
other
both
word.
worlds.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I think we all love the word hybrid, but to that fact, to lean into it, the cloud and the LTSR can definitely coexist. So to get the full, I will preface and say, to get the full advantage of the LTSR and that extended support, you need to have a fully on-premises deployment with all of the baseline components. But there's a number of ways to mix the two together and they play nicely. So a really common, and I'd say somewhat underrepresented configuration is using the LTSR VDA in your Citrix Cloud environment. So customers on Citrix Cloud can still get the 5 years of supportability for the VDA, and then in tandem have their management plane and regular updates in the cloud. And so that is a really common and really impactful deployment. And I also want to mention in the 2203 and moving forward, we've reinstated the ability to provision to public clouds from your on-premises deployment. So if you're fully on-prem, if you're working in that direction, we see you, we love you. And we also know things happen, like, I don't know, a pandemic maybe, or I never heard of her, but you know, something unexpected can happen where you need to burst into the cloud. You need to get more users up and running quickly. And having the ability to provision to the public cloud from on-prem has proven to be a really great thing for customers that need to be agile, even in stricter tied down environments. So they definitely do play nicely together.
Yeah, I mean, customers just kind of hate the hate change, and it's a fear, isn't it? It's kind of the fear of the unknown. What if it goes wrong? So yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. So Mikael, basically, you know, thinking of what Monica's just told us, how does Stratodesk NoTouch OS fit into the LTSR thinking, and how does it bring value to not just Citrix customers, but in general, but you know, Citrix LTSR customers?
Yeah, sure. It's a good question, I think, and it's also the key point of this webinar today. So before I perhaps jump in and answer that question, let me just roll back a little bit and give a short introduction about Stratodesk for those who might not know us. So we're an Austrian American company that has been in the VDI business for a little bit more than 12 years. We create a very flexible VDI optimized lightweight operating system for endpoints that's secure, reliable, and super easy to manage. So it's really about what we're offering to our clients is like very free endpoint management for VDI. And I think that resonates very well with what Monica said earlier about predictability. you want your IT to be as predictable as you want to, and this is really what we offer: predictability, very less VDI endpoint management, or as we say internally, we say taking the headache out of managing your VDI clients in VDI environments. And really, when perhaps looking a bit more about Citrix, so we were 12 years, have been in the business, and Citrix been always our most important, VDI vendor. And I like to work with Citrix because we know, first of all, Citrix offers it's the most feature-rich VDI offering out there. It has most flexibility in terms of what you can do in the back end. It supports the most clouds and all of that, and it doesn't tie you down to a cloud vendor. It's fantastic in that point of view. But it's also for our point of view now. So our operating system is based on Linux, and Citrix has the most feature-rich Linux client for VDI out there. So every time we hear that the customer is using Citrix, we can say that for the most reason we can support the most peripherals. We have the most user scenarios out there, and we can be certain about the user will have the best user experience. So Citrix is very important for us. But going back to actually tie to the answer, so it's all about predictability, reliability, taking your IT landscape into the country of no surprises. That's what I think about, and that's what we are here for, and that's what the LTS release is there for. So if you ask me, it's really a match made in heaven. And I don't really have exact marketing numbers in front of me, but I would say that close to 100% of our Citrix customers actually on LTSR, and that doesn't say, and this is really good again, Monica, what you said about the cloud and or Citrix Cloud, or should I say maybe Citrix DaaS now, and the LTSR release. So this doesn't mean that they're just on-prem. We have a lot of customers also using Citrix DaaS, if I now use the correct term for that. So
yep, good job.
So yeah, good. I'm learning here. So it's all good. So so that's it's all about less worry, more reliability or predictability, I should say. There we go. Yeah, but that's what it is all about.
Okay. So I think at the beginning of this, I mentioned that here at Stratodesk that we've just renewed our certification against the latest 2203 release. And do you want to, Mikael, again, do you want to just maybe talk a little bit about what we do to ensure our compatibility with Citrix releases?
Well, I think it should be you saying it, but I can start. So let me just kick it off, and I'll let you continue, Paul. But let me kick it off. So Citrix has created a fairly rigorous certification test for endpoints that consists of about 20-something different test categories and so on, which then each of which have its own subcategories of tests and so on. And you have to pass that certification in order to get, or pass those tests in order to get the certification. And just a few examples of those. So you have to be, have enough good multimedia support or HDX support and so on, support Microsoft Teams optimization and security features and so on. And then depending on which test you can pass, you will get then a corresponding certificate. But maybe Paul, you because you actually did it for us. So
yes. I guess maybe I was the wrong one asking that question, but because I am the man that does this. So effectively, what we're required to do I think there are 22 tests in total that cover off different subjects, as Mikael mentioned, and within each one of those individual subjects, there'll be a number of different tests that we have to carry out. Some might be 2 or 3 tests, some may be as many as 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then depending on how we pass those tests, and we do have to provide verified results to Citrix. We can't just say, oh, yes, we've done this, and this. We have to back up everything with documentary evidence, and I hasten to add. It's quite a timely task to complete, and certainly with everything else that I generally have on going on during the day. It can sometimes take a couple of days to complete. But what I think it gives our customers is the confidence that when they're connecting it to their Citrix environment and they want it to do a particular task, then they should be safe in the knowledge that it actually does everything that they want it to do.
Right. I was going to say, if there's one thing that Citrix is, it's thorough. So,
Yeah.
which is advantageous, right? So when you have
Yeah.
that seal of approval, you can sleep easy, because when you're dealing with employee health records and dealing with financial data and really highly regulated types of information, like, it's good to have that stamp of approval and know that you're good to go and you're covered.
Yeah.
So thank you for the work there. We appreciate it.
No. It's, as I say, it's not a problem at all. So yeah, it's all good. So I think if we take also really a look at some of the programs that Stratodesk have in place, for those customers that didn't know, we also have an LTS program for our customers. Mikael, do you want to maybe just explain some of the benefits of that program?
Yeah. So as Monica said, also in the beginning of the said, there's some of the customers that Citrix has very long quality assurance or user acceptance testing processes to make sure really everything works and so on. And we have, of course, have some of those Citrix customers as well. Also, some of the markets like for example, healthcare or defense or similar verticals, where things just have to be tested. That's even if you have a very simple product like R compared to Citrix. So if those would put a new release from us through when we have releases, let's say once or twice a month in the best cases, these guys would do nothing else than testing new releases. So we had a request from our customers to say that could we have a similar program like Citrix has as well, and so that sure we can do that. And that's something I think we're the first one to introduce that in the market. So last December we introduced LTS for our customers who have these big tedious processes, so that they can stay on one platform for a longer time, and thus saving in both work and test costs and so on. But still, then we benefit from the security patches when there's a security patch that needs to go out. So it really simplifies the process for these customers and make it less reduce the work burden really. And that's the main thing for them, and through that also the cost.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about it. Yeah.
No,
right, and freeing up, right, for both your long-term support, our long-term service release, freeing up the time to focus on other things, right?
Yes.
And not to just be constantly updated, because we understand like that can be a burden, but it's a necessary thing to do. But the less you have to do that, the more you can strategically plan other IT initiatives and work toward improving processes and improving your employee experience. So I think the benefits are tenfold. Just getting more time back. I think we could all agree we could all use more time.
Definitely.
So the next question is really just to the both of you, and I'll ask Monica to go first. Based on everything that we have discussed so far, what are the main things that you see that customers can take away from using the long-term service release of products? So yeah, Monica, if you can answer that question first.
Totally. So on the most basic level, I think if you're an LTSR customer, I would assume you're probably sitting on 7.15 or 19.12 today. And just with any update, right, there's a lot of security patches. There's a lot of new things that have rolled into there. So just from an infrastructure and stability perspective, it's good to make that move and be on the latest one. Even though you sit on it for a while, if you think of XenApps and Desktop 7.15 to go all the way back there, I think that came out 4 or 5 years ago, and is actually reaching end of life, I believe, in August. So that would have been 5 years ago. And so just getting that latest update, but then on a more specific level, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our HDX features. So those are really what set us apart from the crowd and the high definition user experience. So things like graphics performance enhancements, we've increased 2 to 3 times higher frames per second when doing that audio playback, and we've also, or video playback, and then we've also added a new audio codec, so adaptive audio capabilities to really enhance when you're in a call or when you're listening to audio on a video within your virtual session. It's much more clear and crisp. So just making those strides to giving you the most like local experience from any device. And then things like that might seem small, but like drag and drop from your virtual session to your local endpoint. I was on a webinar just a few weeks ago and someone asked specifically in chat if that feature was in 2203. So there's funny things that, you know, people are waiting on and people are ready for that are rolled up in here. And then also Linux, I don't know if Mikael, you want to jump in on that as well. We work to get to have our Linux VDA really on par with our Windows VDA, and that's great for developers, homegrown applications, you know, people that need specific graphics workloads. There's a lot of use cases that I think could be taken advantage of. And then lastly, the cloud provisioning and the multi-cloud ability. So, you know, we've increased our relationships with these cloud vendors. So every single time we've got more and more hyperscaler support. So whatever cloud you're using, we play nicely with. So Mikael, I'd love you to add some more in there. Any other things that you've seen that could really be advantageous?
Yes, sure. I mean, we see the world from Stratodesk. We see the world from the endpoint in, and I think I was also at a call. It was maybe a few months back where there was somebody saying that actually you know, you can have all the nice systems in the back end and so on, and make it, you know, look great and have the most sophisticated provisioning systems and God knows what, but it's really the endpoint that unlocks these nice features in front of the user. So this is where we sit and we try to unlock all of the goodness coming from Citrix at our end. But what we're seeing, so I think you know, there's a lot. I just counted. It was a little bit more than 60, you know, great enhancements from 1912 to 2203, and that's all just wonderful goodness. But what we've seen the most you know, asked for features and enhancements has been everything that supports a collaboration tool. So anything you can do to support Microsoft Teams, and you know, the enhancements of the Microsoft Teams optimization. So many VDI vendors might say, oh, yeah, we have Teams optimization, but within Teams optimization, there's a lot of different features that can be supported within Teams, and Citrix has been going really aggressively after these, you know, Teams features to be able to bring them optimized into the session, and that's something I you know, been highly appreciated from our customers, as well as just in general, as you, Monica, said, the adaptive audio codec. The enhanced audio and UDP support for that is something that's been warmly welcomed, because that's been really enhancing the user experience when they have to sit at home and still participate in all these different telcos and so on, as well as the webcam enhancements and so on. And multimedia overall, the new architecture for browser content redirection is one example where just, you know, vastly improves the user experience and all of that, and that's just great to see, as well as of course, as you said, mentioned the Linux VDA. All so a lot of companies in the engineering or manufacturing that has tools or programs that they use to design that runs on Linux, and these are then, you know, unlocked with the new Linux VDA as well. So these are all just great enhancements. But the most I say asked for features really been in the multimedia and the collaboration tool enhancements, and that's been really great to see, get those from Citrix and be able to leverage those for our customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, and I'm grateful that our workspace app teams, I work with them very closely, and you all do too, that they work so diligently to make sure everything works across devices. Because to your point, I mean, Stratodesk, that's your bread and butter. It's like if it doesn't work on the device you're sitting on, then it's not, it's a moot point. So and yeah, Teams definitely, we're working on other optimizations for other unified communications as well, because that's been the theme of the past 2 years, right? We're sitting across the world from each other, and we're having a real-time conversation right now, and that's powerful. So yeah, and it matters to be optimized on the endpoint for sure.
It does. It does. It makes a great. It's a break, break or go feature, or So it's really, if that isn't working, then it's not. It's you can't help it. Then everything's gone. Yep.
If a customer, and Monica, again, I'll let you go first on this before I kind of add the final bit of input. If a customer wants to get in touch with you, or to get in touch with Citrix and get a demo of the latest products, features, how best are they going to be able to do that?
Yeah, so I mean, always, if you have a relationship with Citrix already, reach out to your rep or your partner. But if you want to see this in action across our website, we have the option for live demos. So you can fill out, I believe we'll attach it here, wherever we post this, probably in the chat or the description, on where you can sign up for a demo and get in touch with a real person to discuss what this could look like for your environment. So that would be a great way to get involved. There's a ton of blogs out there too. If you search Monica Grismer on Citrix blogs, you'll see my face, and some things will pop up that'll hopefully help you out. Some information about the LTSR. We had a webinar, some Q&A there. So that would be a great place to get information. But also, if you're an LTSR customer and are wanting to make the move, the 2203 release is out today. You can start that migration process, start testing it, work with your counterparts. So we'd love to get you moved over, but go at your own pace. That's also the Citrix way as well.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And really, for any customers that want to test our solution, maybe you've not come across our solution before, then feel free to visit our website and download a free trial. You can do that by going to stratodesk.com/trial, and we will then send you some download links where you can download the latest version of our NoTouch OS operating system and management platform. So I think with that, I'd like to thank you both once again. So thanks once again, and we'll look forward to chatting to you all soon.
Yeah,
same here. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.